Hello everyone, welcome to BATV Test of Champions Fan Doosra show powered by Dafa News. We have some amazing fans from the Bharat Army, Vinesh Prabhu and Gurkirat. Alongside me is my co-host Sanika, and let's talk about day three. It is day two. It's day two. Technically day two. I always get confused with this. Technically day two, Ayaj, and let's talk about it. Before that, let's address the main question: weather का क्या update है? So if you could just load the tweet from Harsha Bhogle and be a little bit happy. The UK Met Office says there is a very small chance of rain today, but sadly, that tomorrow isn't looking too good. This was kind of expected. We are just happy कि आज का day तो होने वाला है. So at least India can be in a very safe spot अगर हम लोग सब कुछ सही करें तो. Vinesh, your reaction to this?
Well, first of all, I'll be happy कि आज थोड़ा at least हमें game देखने को मिलेगा and hopefully no rain interruption or bad light play. Having said that, Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane both are playing really well.
Yeah.
So I hope Virat Kohli's 71st century, which is like long overdue.
Yeah.
Last November 2019 में उन्होंने century मारा था and that was almost year and a half ago. So I think Indian fans all across the globe would be, expecting him to score a century today. And since it's Father's Day today, so a daddy 100 is all that I'm expecting today. And Ajinkya Rahane, I think he's a very good partner, and him getting good amount of runs can also be crucial for the team.
Yeah.
So hoping that the partnership works really well for us, and we can be a good position. We can be in a good position.
Okay, Vinesh, tell me one thing. Is this jersey like chosen की inaugural जो हम लोग का T20 कप था उसके final की kit है उसके लिए worn it or just a coincidence कि आज भी final and you just wore the same final का kit?
No. 2007 में जब हम first time वो final खेले थे wherein we won, so I think ये lucky charm हो सकता है कि ये बार का final we can win it. So yeah, lucky charm के लिए मैंने पहना है.
That's all. Like सबका वही है मतलब we have to win this one. Gurkirat, थोड़े scattered shots expected है आज. Like it can be. I think it will be more of like yesterday. जो second half में था कि थोड़ा bad light वापस गए वापस batting. You think India will be in a good position by the end of this day?
Hopefully. First session is the key because 15 overs to new ball, 65 overs already batting ho gayi hai. And From an Indian perspective, there's a lot to lose and very less to gain in the first session because you 15 overs in a new ball that would take up the first hour, and you want to be cautious in the first hour, and then when the new ball comes, you again have to start again.
Yeah.
So it's a tricky situation, and credit goes to our batsmen because after lunch yesterday, with the amount of interruptions that were there, even after tea, that. You had to come in, you had to go out, you had to concentrate every time again, and I think it was brilliant. The way both the batsmen on the crease batted, especially Virat Kohli. I mean, his control percentage at one point of time was 93%. You don't get that even on one of the flattest pitches. So it tells you how good he was yesterday, and hopefully he carries on. I can see a lot of comments who are saying expecting Kohli century today. Like Vinesh also said, expecting a daddy 100.
Yeah.
Hopefully it happens, but I think the bigger goal would be that India crosses that 275 run mark today. Because if that happens, then with the rain prediction, with the footmarks that have already been created on the pitch, it's difficult to see India on the back foot once they have crossed that 275 mark. So I'm more concerned about crossing that 275 mark than the Kohli century, because if the 275 mark happens, then I'm sure we will get one milestone from that for sure.
Absolutely. अगर बोनी जगन की prediction सही हो गई, Facebook पे वो बोल रहे हैं विराट कोहली and Rahane score century today, तो बस life sorted है. Like we are at least not losing it unless we do something very much wrong. So hopefully that happens. You say something.
Yeah, I was reading that comment.
You're doing the same thing. Okay. So anyway, let's right now focus on the first. Vinesh, I didn't talk like this is the first time we're connecting on this show. I want to ask you which New Zealand bowler has, let's say, scared you the most?
Trent Bolt, without a doubt. I mean, these are tailor-made conditions for him, and we all know what he can do with the new ball. Luckily, Indian players were, they played really well yesterday, and जो first 45 minutes का जो tense hour रहता है, they, kind of ensured that हम wickets lose ना करें, which wasn't the case in the 2019 semi-finals. But the way we played yesterday, I think it was very good. And Trent Bolt.
Okay, apparently there's some network issue from
Yeah.
Vinesh. Anyway, Gurkira, I'll get to you. Vinesh would connect in a while. So Gurkira, tell me, let's just get a little bit back. Vinesh mentioned कि like we top order ensured कि wickets ना जाए. But then start में वो जो run out थे, मतलब बच गए हम लोग. But वो गिल का जो run out था, did we speak to you about that?
No,
We didn't. Yeah, so I want to know your reaction to that run out because I'm sure पूरा India एक साथ चिल्लाया, no, go back.
No, even that, and then Ajinkya Rahane also early on in his innings when Kane Williamson tried to run him out. So in ODIs we've seen a pattern that Rohit and Virat get to sort of tend to run each other out, and if Rahane would have been run out yesterday, we would have started seeing pattern with Kohli and Rahane being involved in runouts because it happened in Adelaide. It could have happened yesterday. But thankfully it didn't. And I was only concerned about one thing with regards to Ajinkya Rahane, that how will he play his first 30 balls? Because in his first 25-30 balls, he shows a lot of tentativeness. Once that period is over, then he becomes more and more confident, as we saw. Because once he had played those 30 deliveries, he was much more confident कि उनको कौन सी बॉल पे ड्राइव करना है, कौन सा स्ट्रेट खेलना है, कहाँ पे विद द स्विंग ड्राइव करना है, कौन सा कट करना है. So, like I said, it was a very good partnership by both Kohli and Rahane. Also, once we had lost 3 quick wickets from 62 for 0 to 83 for 3. Could have been very difficult. The fact that we are close to 150 after having just lost 3 wickets, especially being put into bat, I'd say it's a huge achievement.
Yeah, it's an absolutely good achievement.
Yeah, here Rajneesh on YouTube is saying undoubtedly Bolt was scary, especially that controversial review ball.
Do you remember that moment, Gurkira, जब भी वो review का जो I don't know, no one asked for a review, but the umpire went for a review, and what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, so I mean, we need to be clear on what things can umpires review for. Earlier, there used to be a lot of this stuff for the no ball, and then the ICC said that the third umpires will only call for the no ball, as it was happening in the IPL last year as well. So, but you can't be going to the third umpire for everything. Then it just ensures that that the umpire is not there for anything. But I know a lot of people are saying that Bolt was dangerous, but I still personally believe that Kyle Jamieson was the most dangerous bowlers. If you look at his figures, 14 overs for 14 runs, and getting that crucial first breakthrough. So I thought that Kyle Jamieson was the pick of the bowlers without a doubt.
Absolutely. On Kyle Jamieson, Kohli, this one, Shubman Gill batted really well by coming down the ground, and his footwork has been appreciated by everyone. Like not just we yesterday on the chat, but जो मैं show the exciting show देखा था वहाँ पर भी they're constantly showing them on repeat.
And we also have a tweet, so can we load that tweet?
Yeah, sure.
About Shubman Gill.
Oh yes, absolutely. We've collected one specific
Yeah.
regarding Shubman Gill. Freddie White says it was overshadowed by events that followed, but Gill looked excellent yesterday. We know about his short ball prowess, but it was the straight drives and footwork that were particularly impressive. After being hit by Jamieson, his impact points didn't retreat. Gurkira, this is something that you were mentioning yesterday, right? Go on for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so what I thought yesterday was that India had taken a leaf out of Virat Kohli's book from the 2018 tour. So I have a few numbers. In 2014, Virat Kohli's impact point was around 1.8 meters from the stumps. In 2018, that improved to 2.2 because he wanted to cover for the swing, and he wanted to ensure that he's able to reach to the ball before it's swinging. And if what we saw yesterday was particularly something similar, both Rohit and Gill were batting outside of the crease and were ensuring that the ball doesn't swing. Of course, what they were helped was that that none of the New Zealand bowlers were an express pace bowlers. None of them were bowling upwards of 140. So they were able to even when it was coming on short, they were able to play the pulls, especially the likes of Rohit and Gill, who anyway have such a strong back foot game. So I think the only period where it looked like that the New Zealand bowlers could really get on top was when Cheteshwar Pujara was being bombarded with the short ball stuff, which we had discussed yesterday, that if there's a short leg in place, he would have to be forced into a pull, and when he actually went into a pull, he was hit on the helmet. So I think that period was where New Zealand were getting on top, and they got the wicket of Cheteshwar Pujara as well, because he started to hang on the back foot, and when Bolt throw in the sucker ball on the stumps, slightly fuller, he couldn't really cover it. So I think it was a very good executed plan by both Wagner and Bolt. You would say that Bolt got the wicket, but I think Wagner had a very good hand to play in that wicket itself.
Absolutely, they complement each other really well. Vinesh is back, by the way. Vinesh, can you hear us well?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
So Vinesh, going a little bit behind, थोड़ा पीछे जाते हैं. Let's talk about the initial second or third over में जब Gill was almost run out. What was your reaction to that?
I started shouting. I still remember Gill आ गया था आगे, and suddenly commentator like there's chance of a run out, and I was like no, इतने अच्छे से we played, we can't give away wicket via run out, please, not that.
Exactly.
And if one more thing you guys would have observed, 2019 semi-finals में it was Colin de Grandhomme who was near the stumps when Dhoni got run out, although it was a direct hit, and yesterday also it was Colin de Grandhomme. So memories ऐसे flash होते हैं. And luckily, thank God, Shubman Gill, he dived and he stretched himself a lot, and that kind of saved him. So yeah, luckily he didn't, give away his wicket via run out.
In fact, Vinesh, not just that, उसके साथ साथ there were more few really close calls. Virat Kohli, तो I feel 2 या 3 बार, we were so worried कि Virat not now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and that review,
Yeah.
the review, I was confused as to why the umpire went upstairs. I mean, it was just like, and Kane Williamson didn't even ask for a review. If he would have asked for a review, New Zealand would have lost one. But it was a tricky one, so I still am confused as to why the umpire went ahead with that.
Yeah, but I want to ask you, which was the scariest out that
close call for Virat. 2-3 बार हो गया था. एक बार तो he almost got Rahane out. That was fine. That's a different one.
The leg side one, which went upstairs. Yeah, third umpire, because it went on for I think 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we all had our hearts in our mouth, and I remember tweeting about it. Thank God he's safe.
Yeah. Anyway, there's a comment over here by Boni Jagan. What is the present climatic condition in Southampton Stadium? Please give me a reply, Bharat Army. So let's do one thing. Let's just go to the Bharat Army, जो Southampton में है, and let's have an update from them. And if you could load the video now.
Okay, so going into today, if the conditions are going to be the same, we now know what kind of New Zealand side is going to come out, what we're facing. What would you do today as India captain,
I would rock on to get my century. But on a serious note, which I'm sure Cody will do, but as long as these two can get us to 200, then it gives Bunt and Jadeja a platform to come in, and it hopefully gets us closer to the 300 Akshay, or we mentioned yesterday.
Yeah.
And I would rather, as long as we bat the first 2 sessions, or maybe 2.5 sessions, get New Zealand in towards the end of the day, give them an hour and a half under tough conditions, and then if there's more rain coming tomorrow, it's going to be harder for them to bat on. So that's my thoughts.
Okay, so plough on, crack on, soldier on. What do you want from the side today?
Yeah, well, I think we witnessed a Kohli masterclass yesterday. He made it look easy. But the conditions, if you looked from a straight on view, it was very, very difficult.
Okay, you were there. So what did you see? What was the magic that you saw in Kohli for those that weren't there?
Well, I think he's had a bit of criticism recently about getting out too early, not pushing on. But his temperament yesterday was like the old Kohli. It wasn't phased. He was happy to leave. His strike rate wasn't high, but then he had moments where he picked up the strike rate, played his cover drives, played his shots. So he was toying with the New Zealand bowling attack, and I think actually New Zealand made a bit of a mistake. They missed a trick by not picking a spinner. I think now, trying to break the partnership, they need a change of pace, which they don't have. We've gone the opposite end and picked 2 spinners. So I think the balance was right in the middle, picking 1 spinner, break a partnership, even if there's no turn, just something different, which they don't have. They picked Colin de Grandhomme for the batting option, but for me, I think it's the wrong pick, and I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
But listen, do you know what you said about Kohli's temperament and so forth? I think Kohli's actually played some brilliant innings, like India-England. He looked like he made the impossible possible. So I don't think he's been batting badly. He just hasn't capitalised on his innings. Yesterday, he didn't look like he's exposed at all. So hopefully he can convert this great start, great innings so far, to a big century, and puts us in the driving seat.
Century by lunchtime then? Century by lunch?
Well, the way he's been batting, probably won't make it by lunch, but just after lunch, hopefully a century. And hopefully Rahane is there as his vice-captain, supporting him. And as Amish said, if Pant and Jadeja can then free their arms, push on the score a bit, we should be in a good position to get a couple of wickets before the end of the day.
Right, I'm just trying to work out, when he hits his century, how will you be celebrating? What is there a drink? Is there a dance? Is there what's it going to be?
There's a bit of everything,
Bit of-
absolutely everything. There's going to be hundreds of Indians.
A cocktail of singing and dancing? Will you have a beer or a cup of tea?
I'll have a cup of tea, mate.
Oh yeah, right. Don't believe this guy.
I just like how everyone's focus is not on winning the final but watching 71st century because we know like अगर वो हो जाएगा तो वो winning the final naturally होने वाला है. Anyway, interesting point mentioned by Subodh, like if 9:30 start क्यों नहीं? Why not start the games a little bit early, especially जब आपको थोड़ा सा भी light खराब होता है, you got to shut the game off. So, Gurkeet, your take on this?
Yeah, it's something which makes me say that sometimes cricket is its own biggest enemy, and we've seen this enough times that we are sometimes so rigid and strict with rules and the playing conditions that even when we can see something happening which is inevitable, we still don't try and change it. I'd like to give an example which was very recent, and this is something that cricket can learn from tennis. So during the French Open, there was a 11 p.m. curfew for the fans to go from the stadium, and they had done it for the previous games as well. But when the semi-final between Djokovic and Nadal was happening, the authorities said, we let the spectators be because we don't want to drive away fans from the sport, who are the biggest stakeholders. But in cricket, we have seen so many times that we know that there's a bad forecast, but we still don't start the play early, just because the playing conditions say so that you can only start half an hour early, or you can extend the play by half an hour. So, there have been times in England, and we all know that the light doesn't fade in England till 7:30. You can actually play till 7:30, especially in the summers, but the umpires don't choose to do it because the playing conditions say so. So I think this is something where the ICC needs to step in and ensure that the umpires and along with the match referee have to make sure that you have to get in as many overs as possible, regardless of what game it is, whether it is a T20 or it is a ODI or a test match. In Champions Trophy 2017, there was a game between Bangladesh and Australia. Australia had already scored the par score for the 20 overs, but the rain came in at the 16th over mark. They were 83 for 1. And the points were shared because Australia had not batted 20 overs. No one actually,
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? They had already chased the score, which was par for the 20 over mark, but the points were shared because they had not batted 20 overs. Why do you want to bat 20 overs if you already chased it? So this is where I think cricket is its own biggest enemy, and a change for playing conditions is needed, especially in terms of being more flexible.
Absolutely. It gets a little weird we created a format to make test cricket interesting again, and ये पूरा जो test of champions बना दिया, and people are actually interested and excited to watch it. But then end way, we are getting the same thing. Why in the first place people got annoyed with this format? We enjoy watching cricket in test, but these factors like bad light, weather, the timing restrictions, these are the things which really have driven the fans away from this format. Vinesh, your take on this?
Well, I completely agree with what Gurkeet said. I think sometimes, rules can be tweaked a little, to ensure the game goes on well. And also, I think first day to pura washout ho gaya tha, and although we have a reserve day, but see, it's not just any other test match, it's a final. And after 2 years of hard work and whatever the teams have achieved, I think we deserve to, a winner at the end of the day. And also what VVS Lakshman had said in one of the interviews is that this final should be played till a winner is there is a winner. So I think an early start should have been done, because that would ensure that because of the rain delays and all, we wouldn't lose more of the time, and it would ensure the smooth conduct of the game.
Absolutely. In fact, Cricket Wala also mentioned that let's just keep on playing as long as 5 days ho nahi jate.
Yeah, exactly.
Barish. Anyway, let's just get back to the game right now. I see a comment over here. Pranav Surana says today Pant's fiery innings will be the turning point for Indian innings. Honestly, I hope Pant के batting के आने की जरूरत ही ना पड़े.
मैं actually यही बोलने वाली थी.
Yeah, exactly. Ganesh, tell me one thing. In case we actually lose a wicket in any stage, like be it the first session or the second session or the third one, which batsman are you really expecting a big knock from? I mean, a sensible knock from, not a big knock, a sensible one.
Has to be Rishabh Pant, man. I mean, he's a true match winner for us, I think, in the team. And what he did at Gaba, that fiery knock, I think he can do that today as well because a lot of time has been gone because of the rain delays and the bad light stuff. So I think a good quick knock from Rishabh Pant will help us, and Ravindra Jadeja can also chip in. But
Yeah.
Rishabh Pant, according to me, can give you those quick handy runs in a very short time.
Yeah. Also, Gurkirat, I remember like we've constantly spoken about those run-out scares that we've had, but one of the reason behind it is the slow outfield. जिसके वजह से boundaries जाना मुश्किल हो रहा है, so they have to convert singles into doubles, doubles into threes. We've seen them run hard in Test cricket, and that's a beautiful sight, right?
It is. It is. It also tells you, how much runs are going to be crucial. I, for one, when India come on to bowl, I'd like Virat Kohli to have a third man straight away. I know sometimes people will say that having a third man is a defensive position, but what I feel is you'd rather want to protect runs of good bowling than having a sweeper and protecting runs of bad bowling.
Yeah.
That would demoralize a bowler a lot more, especially when you have such conditions where runs are a prime. Runs are very hard to come by, so why not have a third man along with three or four slips, whatever you want to have. Another thing, I'm seeing a lot of comments come regarding Rishabh Pant that he can accelerate and score at a strike rate of 100, and can play a fiery innings. I think his sometimes his defensive game goes under the radar, and people don't realize that his defensive game isn't bad. It's quite reliable, because even if we look back at the 2019 World Cup semi-final, it's not that he went out swinging from the first ball itself.
Yeah.
He tried to go for a matchup which was favorable against a left-arm spinner. It's another thing that the execution didn't come off. But till that point, he had defended very well, and it didn't look like that. His technique was an issue, because the ball was still swinging and seaming even when India were 5 for 3. And even if you look at the test matches in Australia, nowhere it felt like that he could get out any minute when he was defending. So if you can play the likes of Cummins, Hazelwood in Australia, if you can do well against the likes of Jofra and even though in test matches in India, and play the New Zealand bowling attack in conditions which were there in Manchester, your defensive game is pretty sound. So unlike what many are saying that he'll play a fiery innings, I don't think so. I also think that he'll take his time. He'll probably take the first 30-40 deliveries, and then will start to go out for his strokes which he feels are there in his area. But I don't expect him to just come out swinging, because this is not the pitch where you can come out swinging. It's not going to happen.
In fact, Vinesh, there's an interesting comment by Samraj Brar mentioning will New Zealand's plan of not playing a spinner backfire? Please take my question. Yeah, that's a request. That's not the question. The question is, will New Zealand not picking a spinner backfire, especially considering the recent pitch?
It might because all 5 bowlers have been used right now, and maybe New Zealand would have wanted someone to a spinner maybe like Ajaz Patel to come in and bowl to Virat Kohli and Rahane to get that wicket. So I think they are gonna miss. Plus it's a good point for India because we have 2 spinners in our ranks. So it's okay if New Zealand hasn't picked it. We have 2 spinners. Advantage India.
Absolutely. In fact, let's focus a little bit on the New Zealand threat. Vinesh, we were talking to you about it. Javi, your connection just got off. Can you continue your answer regarding which bowler would be the biggest threat for India?
Trent Bolt, man. Trent Bolt. I mean, he can swing the ball in any conditions, and he's lethal from the first over. Thankfully, we averted the threat yesterday in the first 30 minutes. But then how he made a comeback. He trapped Cheteshwar Pujara and he got his wicket. So I think today also Trent Bolt will be the X factor. But Kyle Jamieson, he's getting that extra bounce, and his figures are also good. So I think he might be another bowler, who can pose a threat for Team India. But my number 1 pick is Trent Bolt.
Trent Bolt. Absolutely. We have the founder of the Bharat Army, Rakesh Patel, over here on the call right now.
Hi.
Rax, how's the weather? That's the main question everyone wants to know.
If you look at all the comments on our Instagram post, everybody's asking the question about the weather. Right?
Yeah.
You have nothing to worry about today. We'll get a full day of play today. The weather is absolutely fine. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Any special songs from the Bharat Army that are ready for Virat Kohli's century?
Yeah, we have a. You must have seen the Virat Kohli song that went viral yesterday, right?
Yeah.
You guys like that song? There's a new Virat Kohli song that we released yesterday.
Yeah.
ICC posted.
Yeah.
I think RCB posted it as well, and
Yeah.
all the other channels are posting it. But today we have a special song for Jasprit Bumrah fans. So hopefully, well, you know what? We don't really want Bumrah to be bowling today, ideally, right? So, so we will release it today if he bowls. Let's see what happens.
Any special song if Virat Kohli gets to his 71st century?
100%, and he's a king, right? So we have a song for the king.
Yeah. Also, Rax, we can actually, I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but we can hear Bharat Army constantly while the match is on. The dole, someone's chanting, it's probably Tommy's voice was actually suddenly just shouting in the middle. And not only that, the camera is constantly on the Bharat Army. Like there's some or the other guy in every frame of hands, the Bharat Army flag is visible.
Yeah, it's amazing atmosphere. I'm not sure what it sounds like on TV. But there's pretty much 80% Indian fans. I think there's a few England fans that are supporting New Zealand as well. And maybe some Bangladesh and Pakistan fans also who are supporting New Zealand. But on the whole, the stadium's full. It's just a bit cold at the moment, right? So we Indians need the warm weather to warm up our voices as well. So as you could tell, my voice is a little bit hoarse from yesterday as well. But we're in the coach now. I don't know if you can see this. We're on our way.
Hello.
Say hi, everyone. We're live.
Hello. Rax, tell me one thing. Yesterday, like we watched it from the TV. Shubman Gill was almost run out. That big run out scare. Everyone was talking about it. How was it from the stand? How was the view from the stands?
Yeah, I mean, listen. When that happened, we were holding our breath, right? Because I think, look, firstly, they did really well, Rohit and Shubman Gill. I don't know.
Yeah.
The conditions were terrible. I mean, when we lost the toss, we thought the worst, right? Because under those conditions, we haven't had much match practice anyway. The ball was doing so much. I'm sure you guys would have seen that on TV, right?
Yeah.
But I think we did tremendous. We didn't play a miss as much as I thought we would, you know?
Yeah.
But to survive the way we did, to get a 50-run opening stand and build a foundation, it was just a bit unfortunate. We lost 2 wickets just before lunch. If we had lost 1, I would have been quite happy. 2, look, but I think Rahane and Kohli have batted brilliant, right, to set that foundation. Yeah, and hopefully, if they can get us to around, 200, maybe 220, and give Jadeja and Pant the license to sort of go big and get us over 300. And then we need a New Zealand collapse, right? So that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, and there's a comment on YouTube by Siddy. Bharat Army fans, I could hear you guys in the TV singing amazing songs, giving me goosebumps.
Absolutely. We can constantly hear that. In fact, I heard the Virat Kohli song as well. I could actually make out the lyrics since I know the lyrics of it. And it's really good. Rax, tell me one thing. I've been asking this question to everyone. Who seems to be the biggest threat for India right now from the New Zealand bowling?
I think. Look, the thing is with New Zealand bowlers, right? They hunt in packs, right? So, if Bog is bowling well and Wagner perhaps isn't, then Wagner will come back, and so they hunt in packs. It's not one particular bowler. I think you can't take them for granted, right? You can't. You have to be mentally very strong, and I think for me, that's one of the biggest wins yesterday for Team India, that we batted mentally very strong, right? If you look at the strike rates of our batsmen, they weren't batting at.
Okay, apparently there's sound network issues over here.
Kohli strike rate, yeah. So look, I think we've got to be smart. We've got to bat well again in the morning, and hopefully, we can build a good score. Yeah.
Apparently, there's some network issues, so we're hearing there's some delay in the audio and the video. I guess you stopped now. Okay, you're saying something, Rakesh? Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, look, enjoy the day. Hopefully, we put a good score on. I will catch you guys again soon.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy. Yeah. Gurkiran, we were on the topic of spinners. New Zealand not taking a single spinner. A big gamble or a smart choice considering the weather?
I'd still say it's a smart choice because you have to look at who's the fifth bowler in the New Zealand bowling lineup. You would say Colin de Grandhomme, and we saw de Grandhomme bowling yesterday, and by no means it looked like that. He was a bowler against which Indian batsmen were comfortable in scoring runs, unless he pitched it short, which was just poor bowling, which can happen with any bowler. But he bowled four to five straight maidens to Virat Kohli.
Yeah.
So even if you still ask Indian batsmen, they'll tell you that they'd rather play an Ajaz Patel than facing Colin de Grandhomme.
Yeah.
Also, what playing an Ajaz Patel would have done was it would have shortened the length of their batting. So
Yeah.
purely from a bowling point of view, I still believe that it was the right call to not play Ajaz Patel because
Yeah.
then the Indian batsmen would have known one bowler that they can attack. And with the kind of batting our batters were doing, it was just a matter of time that the fifth bowler will come in at some point of time to make sure that the other bowlers are rotated and given a rest. And whenever Ajaz Patel would have come in, the Indian batsmen would have felt a lot easier than what they were, while facing de Grandhomme. Also, let's not forget that when the ball is being bowled at somewhere between 120 to 125, it swings the most.
Yeah.
We've seen that with someone like a Praveen Kumar as well, that the ball swings a lot, and that was happening with de Grandhomme as well. So I don't think de Grandhomme's place was anyway in question. It would have probably been in place of one of the other four pacers. And once we saw what was happening in the lead up, there was no chance that New Zealand were playing a spinner.
Gurkiran, there's one guy who totally agrees with you. Suresh Kumar mentioning India plays the spin very well and Indian batsmen only struggle at fast bowling. So yeah, I mean, it would have been a lot easier, like you mentioned, for us to score in front of a spinner. And Upar say the pitch, I feel like right now we are hoping that it does really well for Jadeja and Ashwin. Vinesh, picking up Jadeja and Ashwin for me has to be, I mean, it's a very good decision. But considering the pitch and the conditions, are you happy with that?
Well, Jadeja and Ashwin, whenever they play for a team, they are an asset, man. I mean, Ravindra Jadeja, he can contribute with the ball, bat, and he's an excellent fielder as well. And same with Ashwin, good with bowling, and he's a handy batsman as well. So I think picking both of them in the team was a really good move. And I think when India will bowl tomorrow, there will be a lot of cracks that would have been developed on the pitch. So there might be some turn on offer. So it might be an advantage to Team India because we have two spinners, and we can exploit those cracks and hopefully get a lot of wickets. So I think it was a good move to pick both Ashwin and Jadeja.
So I feel both teams have kind of gambled, not really gambled, taken a calculated risk depending on conditions. Kaise jaane wale hai. If the ball starts turning, let me tell you, we can expect two New Zealand ki innings, dono ke dono collapse ho sakte hain with Jadeja and Ashwin leading from the front. Anyway, there's a comment over here. Vinesh, I'd like you to start off on this. Repeat the comment.
So Pranav Surana says the patches have been formed on pitch, so they will trouble lefties a lot.
Yeah, and the question is by Sabraj Brar. Go on, Sabraj.
Sir, your take on Shubman Gill's technique, is it similar to Virat?
Vinesh?
Should I go or should Vinesh go?
Vinesh,
go.
I'll talk on Shubman Gill's technique. No, I don't think so. I think Virat is predominantly a front foot player. We've seen him even in difficult pitches where the ball is having variable bounce. You have to look back at his innings in Perth, where he scored that 123 in 2018. You have to look back at his innings, his twin innings in Johannesburg when there were so many cracks on the pitch. Even when he was facing the likes of Cummins, Rabada, Stark, all those who bowl upwards of 140, he was playing it on the front foot and he was taking them on. Even when Virat Kohli plays the pull, he plays it on the front foot. With someone like a Shubman Gill, he has a better game when it comes to playing late, which is why we see, when we look back at his innings at Gabba, there were a lot of cut shots. He plays the cut particularly well, and he did it versus Cummins in Sydney also, where again the ball was not bouncing that much. So I'd say Gill's technique is more similar to what I'd say with Rohit than with Virat, because he also tends to play it late. Virat, on the other hand, is someone who goes towards the ball rather than the ball coming to him. So
Yeah.
I don't think, but temperament-wise, in terms of how you construct an innings, if someone has watched Shubman Gill bat at the India A level or the under 19 level, you would say temperament-wise they are similar. But I'd really not say in terms of technique, because I'd even say that at the age of 22 or 23, whatever Shubman's age is, he's probably a better batsman than what Virat was at 22, 23.
Interesting comment over there. Vinesh, I would like to ask you, but then I totally agree in terms of temperament. Yes, Gill has the temperament of Virat Kohli in terms of taking the opposition head on. But he won't be bogged down by a single sledge. In fact, he'll go out of his way to sledge someone else and get his work done. That's Gill's approach. That Vinesh, your take on this?
Well, I totally agree with what Gurkirat said. Virat Kohli is more of a front foot player, and Shubman Gill, tends to go on the back foot and go about with his shot. But I think Shubman Gill at this age has a better technique and temperament what Virat Kohli used to have when he was of his age. And I think Virat Kohli himself had once mentioned that. So I think both are not technically similar, but both are good with however they play and with their strength points.
Absolutely. Let's do one thing. Let's get into the final part of this conversation about our predictions and but before that, let's have a look at a video sent by the Bharat Army from Southampton, and let's enjoy watching it.
Morning, boys. Morning. I feel like I'm always interrupting your breakfast, but yeah, he is back. Yeah, you can't get rid of me that easily. Morning. How are you? First of all,
Good.
happy.
Good.
What day is it? Sunday.
Yeah.
And Father's Day, by the way, in England here as well. But who was the bop yesterday? See what I did there? See what I did? No, but yesterday. Let's talk about yesterday's gameplay. Let's start with you. What did you see? Now that you probably had a good old night to sleep on it and reflect on it, what did you see now in your memory from yesterday's play from India?
So I think it was a tough day, which we got through very well. I'm content. I think there's a few mixed emotions going around. It wasn't easy to bat on, and the way India started was absolutely fantastic. 50 for 9. It's a shame we lost a couple of quick wickets. But our Kohli and Rahane, I think they're doing a good job to rebuild. I'm very, very glad we've only lost 3 wickets. We didn't get that many overs in, but I'm okay with that because I think we got ourselves out of a tough hole to bat in those conditions, and it's going to be easier today. So hopefully we make the most out of it, and we can press on. But I'm okay.
You're okay with yesterday's play? Yeah, and you're right. I think making, if you want to call it the best of a bad situation, didn't win the toss, had to bat in those conditions, and then the light playing a factor as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, just to follow up on Amesh's comments, I think we're in a really good position, given the fact that we lost the toss. I could have taken this every day of the week. We're only going to push on today. However, the light was a big issue yesterday. We only got about 60 odd overs in. It's a 90 over day. And the fact that we've already lost one day to rain, we might lose another tomorrow to rain. We're running out of time.
Yeah.
And this morning we wouldn't have minded so much. We wanted to survive. Now we're doing well. We want to go and win this game. But we might run out of time. So I think the umpires did make a mistake. They've set a bad precedent now that once the light reader reads X amount, they have to go off. Okay. And I thought that was a bit too light. I don't think the light changed too much. The floodlights were on, and I think it was just a poor excuse.
Yeah.
Do you think that Kohli should have stayed on? Because I would rather them be in the dressing room as opposed to expose themselves towards the end of the day in those conditions. I'd rather us not lose a wicket then and come out fresh and have a full day.
I'd rather make sure we go and win than protect ourselves and accept a draw, because that's what it looks like we're doing at the moment.
I guess what we did was reduce the risk of us losing, right? Yeah. To an extent.
Yeah, it's a shame, but hopefully today the light perks up, but it's going to be very similar to yesterday, so I hope we get a full 98 overs in rather than 60 overs.
And people are going to want to know about the weather. Just quickly look up in your own style. How would you describe it? Well, obviously your own style, because I was thinking, let's turn the weather into a song. But Aaj Mausam Bada. How would you describe it? In English, you can say, what is the Mausam like today? What's the weather like?
It's exactly the same as yesterday. I feel like deja vu. I'm on a different breakfast table, but the weather is exactly the same as yesterday.
I don't think that'd be as quite as catchy. Oh, Aaj Mausam Bada. Exactly the same hair.
You did well there. You did.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Voice. Cheers, bro.
I hope the मौसम stays same throughout the day. Yesterday भी first half बहुत मजा आया as a cricket fan, but then second half it was very annoying. I liked what Amish or Akshay, either of these two mentioned that yesterday it was about after losing toss. Yesterday it was about surviving, and today it's about going for a win. Like not exactly going for a win, but then securing a win. Yeah, but if we cross the 300 run mark.
Yeah, and अगर अभी हम लोग आज के मैच के बारे में बात करते हैं, so I want to ask Vinesh. Here, Siddy on YouTube is asking how crucial will be the first hour today.
I think really important because that will set the tone for the entire game, and hopefully it remains sunny throughout the day. And India will come out with a positive intent, and we have our captain and vice captain in the middle. So hopefully both of them can stitch a very good partnership and can see us through the first 1 hour, and then we can see how the game progresses. But just come out with a positive intent, play good cricket, and I think we are sorted for the first 1 hour.
Sure, Gurkira.
Like I said in the beginning, there's a lot to lose and very little to gain, because you want to make sure that you've taken guard again and gotten yourself in again, and by the time you will do that, new ball would be due. Yeah, the first session is a really tricky one. 15 overs to go for the new ball, and then new ball being due. So you'd hope that for the first 15 overs, for the first hour at least, there isn't a loss of a wicket, because then it would expose a new batsman coming in, and it could actually expose a new batsman to the new ball, which could be very dangerous. So first session is very crucial, like it always is, but because of the conditions and where the game stands right now, it becomes a lot more crucial. But New Zealand would be very, very disappointed if they don't get at least 2 wickets in the first session, because then they know that they have given away the advantage of winning the toss. So a huge session coming up in context of the game.
Yeah, in that sense, I like playing against New Zealand because अगर उनके wickets नहीं जाते, they get frustrated amongst themselves. Unlike Aussies, जो सामने वाले का दिमाग खराब कर देते हैं. Like as a fan, I get annoyed by the looks and constant bouncers सिर पे लगते हैं वगैरह. In fact, yesterday after the bouncers, the bowlers actually apologized. Imagine an Aussie bowler or even someone like Jofra Archer who would just go on to apologize. They'll be like, so what? Try playing the next delivery. Anyway, I liked like what you guys mentioned regarding the first half. To some extent, it is a little bit like yesterday's situation only. Ki tricky hai, very crucial, a lot to lose, and survive hona is crucial in the first session as well. If we have to ask, sure, you want to say something?
Yeah, and to ask before we end the show, मुझे एक quick prediction चाहिए, एक number जो होगा हम लोग का score first innings का.
First
session.
Till lunch. Yeah. Vinesh, starting with you.
First session or the overall score? First session, we are somewhere around 200, 210 without losing a wicket.
So 210 for 3. Okay?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, 220 for 4.
220 for 4. Okay. Who do you expect to fall down? Like किसका जाएगा wicket?
वो बोलना बहुत मुश्किल है, but
विराट कोहली मत बोल देना बस.
I'm not taking any names, but it's difficult because, like I said, जो conditions हैं उसमें अगर एक wicket भी नहीं जाती तो it would be great, but hard to see 1 wicket not falling just because of the conditions, with the new ball also being due, because there would be roughly 10 overs with the new ball as well. So
Interesting.
I see 1 wicket falling anyway.
Interesting predictions in the comment section. Akshat says 340.
Pranav is more 85 runs with 1 or 2 wickets.
Yeah.
Okay, ठीक है. 85.
Suresh is saying 230. Suresh is saying 230.
Yeah.
Pranav says 1 or 2 wickets. Akshat is saying again 340. Anyway, we hope it goes well for us. For me, a practical score has to be somewhat around just about 200 runs, like you guys mentioned, and losing 1 wicket. But like you said, Gurkira, कि wicket lose नहीं करना is very difficult at this stage, क्योंकि जो conditions होंगे, new ball, weather, सब कुछ. But if there are 2 batsmen who can actually make sure that not a single wicket falls, those 2 are on the crease right now. So let's hope for the best. Anyway, thank you so much for talking with us, Vinesh and Gurkira. I'm Kunal. Sanika, Vinesh, Gurkira, thank you so much for joining. This is BA show for the Test of Champions, powered by Dafa News. Thank you so much for joining. We'll connect again in the during lunch. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.